Folks, we are back. Welcome on back here this Wednesday afternoon, June 25th. Great to have all of our students and members alike. I got 1,000 screens up here. Give me a quick second. I'll give a shout out to all of our students here in just a moment. Holy smokes. All right, great to have all of us here. Great to have Mario, Gillis, Leda, all of our platinum, gold, and diamond students respectively here, at least joining us inside our live trading room this afternoon. I see Tony here. I see April, one of our relatively new members joining us. Great to see Lewis, Mark, Mike, Roberto, Sharon, you got Uday joining us, Wendy, perfect. All of us just joining us again inside our live trading room. But if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works, going through my 1,000 windows I got up right here. But right down below at Cyber Trading you got that big annoying red subscribe button right down there on YouTube. Hit that button right there so you know when we're going live each and every weekday, Monday to Friday. But with that, let's hop right into the market here to begin, right? So bit of a wonky day all across the board. SPY was going absolutely nowhere for the first hour. That's normally where you expect to see the SPY go somewhere, up or down. And then finally, after about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, broke support. It became a decent little short trade heading into the afternoon so far, but not a lot of stocks have been exactly like going perfectly with the market. Nvidia obviously going completely, off course, going against the grain there. So this has been our trade of the day inside our live trading room. Let me actually go over this here briefly. So let's discuss NVIDIA here in the sense of the pre-market move early in the morning. Every one of us, if you're watching the video here with us in our room, you saw this trending up. And again, you know what? I'm in teacher mode this week. I've been in teacher mode. Let me ask our students that I'm normally in class with actually right now, when this is going up, who's winning the battle? When you're seeing the video just trending up and up and up and up and up and up, who exactly is winning the battle? Bunch of us here, Sean, Gillis, Lynn, and Randy. Buyers, absolutely. So what you're looking for after the market open is at least, hey, what if there's more buying pressure? What if there's more, volume that gets broken through to the upside? Now that's where we ended up seeing this key resistance, not this one. We're looking earlier here this morning at 150. Check this out. You had about 3.7, 3.8 million shares that were out there at one point, right at that 150 price. So that's actually just from NASDAQ and EDGX order books. There's probably, more volume through other books. And I can confirm that because, well, look what happens here. You actually saw like triple or double the amount of volume that you had on Bookmap actually get filled right here off this 150. Giant green volume spike here, volume candle. And again, like we just answered, that's buying pressure. What happens when there's more and more and more and more and more buying pressure off that same price? It just took an extra blast back over it here, one little shake, but then it came back up and above, and it's been perfect ever since. So let me ask anyone jump in on the NVIDIA trade from earlier today, whether you bought the stock, maybe you bought the ETF here, NVDL. This one, double leverage, a little bit cheaper perhaps, so you could actually do that. You do option calls. I know a couple of us right now saying that they did. Perfect. Listen, it's still a little expensive, and if you're not familiar with options, don't trade them. Just because they're cheaper, don't mean it's better. Actually, speaking of options, just because you're trading a contract that's 20 cents per contract, that's not easier. That's actually way more volatile. At least NVIDIA, their contracts are probably around like $1 to $2 per contract, depending on the strike price. But right around 150, hey, this was your sweet spot as far as resistance goes. Took you right into reversal time pretty well, and then even afterwards here. So going into the afternoon. Oh, yeah, it's at all-time highs also. So just to add that on top, I didn't even realize that. And back to all-time highs, if not breaking above it here. So, yeah, I love this trade. We're going to put this back on our watch list here for now. The NVIDIA NVDL. 1,000 screens here. What is going on? All right, there we go. So NVDA, NVDL, those two to start. Now, again, though, it wasn't even just NVIDIA. AMD's been a beast. This actually popped pretty well from the market open, at least heading into the morning, same type of trend. Took a little bit longer for the gears to get going on this breakout here, but right off 141, good move up. Nice little day trade. This has been really strong, though, from like the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So for as much as it has already moved up, maybe it's not going to run as well compared to NVIDIA today. Maybe a little bit slower, consolidation point here. I'm not going to be as keen to add this to our list just yet. But, hey, if the market keeps pushing right now, then we'll look to see if there's any other good opportunities to work with. Just go right back to our morning watch list here. Go through a couple of the trades that we had, at least from earlier today. Well, at least from earlier today. We're not going to focus on this trade now at this point, the SRFM trade. So we had talked about this even from yesterday. The stock is a low float stock. It was like, 13, 10 million shares, whatever it was at the time. Well, it had a great trade on yesterday. Broke out from like $2, 250-ish up towards 450. Moved up higher a little bit this morning in pre-market, and then well, today the balloon burst. The music stopped. So what happens? Well, this ended up making lower highs for a bit. Maybe there was a chance for this to build out as support, but same rules apply to this as it does with the stock market. Once the market breaks support, it's gonna look to go lower. So for the SRFM, some no-name small cap stock, the danger of this is that when the music stops, when the balloon bursts, this thing will just tank. This thing's a disaster now. So wouldn't shock me actually if we go back to this SRFM daily chart to have it pull back down towards this area here, maybe even back under this area going into the end of this week. So these are day trades. These are not swing trades. Just want to let you know. If it's like some low float pharma, little pump and dump type play, it's kind of flavor of the day type deal. We move on from them pretty quick more often than not. And if we follow them the next day, then we know even more so the music's going to stop eventually. So let's actually just keep moving here for the time being. The QS, this was one from the morning. Just want to show it wasn't the best mover. It didn't make that big elaborate pop. Actually, there was a great trade setup on this from a couple of prices. You had a good bounce right off this area here, 569, 570. If you're inside our live trading room right now, I just want to show you this here because it all comes down to just knowing where your levels are. I did write this prior to the market opening up. I was saying to all of our members here, like, hey, QS got support on the chart right around 590 first. And then after that, 570. So we're trying to give the game plan out there directly inside our room. And it led to a good bounce right here after the market opened up. Good bounce back up. Now, here's the key, though. This led to a great trade setup here because going into like 9:45, 10 o'clock here, there is still time to have trend continue. You got about another 15 to 30 minutes, perhaps even more. But just saying that once it broke back over 620, this engaged a really good entry. But this is where I tell all of our students here. Again, I'm in teacher mode, so don't mind me. But for Margaret, Roberto, all of us here, Ishan, when a stock breaks through a big level, and if there's like this much buying here, if there's so much buying, simply put, when a stock breaks through a big level, what are we getting shortly after? Simply put, right? Just two words I'm looking for there. Lynn and Randy, Gillis, Margaret, and all this otherwise there. Big move. Looking for a big move. This is not so much a big move. This is about like 15, 14 cents. It starts off okay. On this green candle, I'm probably kicking my feet back a bit thinking, all right, all systems go. But when the music stops, once again, sound like a broken record player speaking of music stopping, but this ended up making a big pullback afterwards. It failed to flip this even into support. Once that fails, and then this is a wrap. So it actually did have a little bounce here at this point. I wasn't as focused on this trade. Once it kind of pulls back, we're just kind of writing it off. This is some not low float as much. It still kind of is, but I'll just say this is like a bad quantum trade over time. If you're familiar with the quantum stocks that we've done extremely well on from the beginning of this year, this ain't one of them. So QuantumScape was actually one of the first quantum stocks that we started trading back in 2020. And, off of news, we would call it out like, okay, quantum maybe. But when you compare it to Rigetti, when you compare it to QUBT, when you compare it to QBTS, you compare it to IONQ, this thing's garbage. So look at the long-term graph, right? You don't want to trust this thing. If it wants to prove itself to you, let it, right? We'll let it prove itself to us. So we're done with this for the time being, this QS. What else we got here from today, folks? We had the Robinhood trade breaking all-time highs, at least earlier this morning. And I mean like really all-time highs finally, right? I think this here was right off of the 85. This one wick back from 2021. So everyone was like saying all-time high. Yes and no. Like it all was but there. But technically, you got to see it tip that 85 level. And it didn't pre-market. Did a little bit after the open. But it's essentially a rejection where it ended up coming back down. It came back down towards 82. That was also a level that we were calling out directly inside our room just before. I was writing to everyone just earlier at like 11:30 in the morning, just with Hood. Wouldn't be surprised if it ends up dropping down towards that 82 level. Actually, I see Roberto with a nice trade in the snapshot, at least on a different stock. But, right here on Hood, wouldn't be surprised if it hits 82, right? Because that was a big volume level from yesterday. That was your closing print. Became a nice bounce area at first. It still hasn't made higher highs, though. So for as much as it bounced initially, the more it keeps poking it, it might just break it. So I'm not as interested in Robinhood heading into the afternoon now. Coinbase, same thing here. This was a great trade from yesterday. It was moving up higher in pre-market. So rightfully so, we were focused on it as a trade for the opening bell. But came back down rather quick, rejected, held lower highs, and it's flat now at this stage. So we're done with this. We'll move on to a different trade, or we'll focus on this for tomorrow. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go across the board here, folks, from top to bottom on the gainers and losers list. We only got Nvidia so far, so hopefully there are some other name brand stocks that are like moving with Nvidia, but there could also be some other names here that we're not as familiar with. That's good, right? That's good. All right. Let me run this scan here quick. See what we got. ULY. This thing has been a tease all day, hasn't it? Right? I mean, speak about the trend. This thing was just trending down after this first pop. All throughout pre-market, all throughout the market open here. So it's just a waste of time. What is it going to finally pop now into the close for us? So I'd rather not be misled or teased one more time here. Let it prove itself. So we'll move on to a different trade. This was starting to prove itself pretty well here just before, because for as much as it popped at the open session here, you don't really expect it to come back up. And if it does, great. So that's what happened. It ended up coming back up, broke above resistance or off the highs here. It actually just flipped that into support a moment ago. It seems pretty active. So you know what? I'll put this on our main list for right now. This is the ADTX trade. ADTX. All right, cool. We got this one. Let me actually just check the daily chart, because the weekly chart, either way. Yeah, this ain't no swing trade. I'll tell you that much. This is no swing trade. And this is a day trade only. If it pops tomorrow, we'll come right back to it. But yeah, you don't want to get stuck in this thing on the way down. So keep it going though here. Vine, VYNE, and we're not talking about the app, the social media app from back in the day. If you remember, if you know, you know. SAFX, pop drop. We're already done with that one there. Move on. GCTK, same deal. That looks like a nightmare now. Quantum, we just talked about. If it pops, it pops. We'll come back to it if we need to. We keep going right now, right? I mean, this is how we kind of just build up our watch list here heading into the afternoon. Just kind of go across the board here, skim through. You normally just want to focus on stocks that are closer to the highs or near the highs, at the highs, maybe breaking new highs. Tiger, it was doing pretty good here just before. A few of us did very nicely on this trade, actually. Let me see if I can just jump back to our live trading room. I think a couple of us did pretty nicely on this. Maybe Kerry, maybe Mario, Roberto. Yeah, Roberto got about like 30 or so cents on it just before. I think Mario was in just earlier. Actually, Mike even took a little short on it from like 10 o'clock or so. So a number of us have traded this stock today. Just making lower highs now. I'm not really a fan of the lower highs here that it's making. So if you want me to come back to it at the end of the meeting, I will. But I'm going to just catch up at the chat just before we finish. We'll go through just a couple questions, a couple comments. Poet, nice little move here. Just broke a new high just a moment ago. Pulled back, though, at least here. You know what? I like it. It's a little slow. It just pulled back, so hopefully it doesn't break lower. But as long as this builds out as support, yet another higher low kind of moving here, then there's a chance for one more push. We've done well on this trade, too. Yeah, and just look at this back from the beginning of last year, 2024, April, and ran up pretty nicely for us back then. As far as a swing trade, I mean, not really the healthiest chart, but healthier than at least a couple of the others that we just looked at least like EDTX or whatever. So, more day trade than anything. TMC, we've done well on this trade too, at least over the last couple of weeks. This has been an excellent swing trade over time. Just you can see the higher lows, higher highs afterwards, higher lows from there again. Right now, a little slow. Right now, not really too jumpy on it. SMCI, Super Micro. This actually had a great run from earlier. Unfortunately, now pulling back. What's the market just tanking here at this point? Not really. Not much happening. I guess just SMCI losing momentum here from the run. All right, we'll keep it going here, folks. You got BBAI, we got AAOI here. Quantum trade, I see. Not much else that's really sticking out though for us here. You got AMD, perhaps. We just talked about that before. Nvidia is looking a lot better, at least for the afternoon. All right, we'll hop over to the loser side right now, folks. If anything else looking good from the gainers, you let me know. But we'll hop over to the loser side right now. Curve. This thing's hard to borrow anyway for me, but too flat, too flat. A lot of these trades already washed up or too flat. Maybe not this. Oh, this is the SRFM, right? Didn't we just mention this before? Sheer fact that was this halted when we were going over it? Was this actually halted when we like went over it there just a moment ago during the meeting? I didn't even realize that. I just thought this was just dropping. Holy shit. Yeah, news had to have come out on a common stock offering. That's my guess here. I have no idea why this just dropped, but I'm going to just take a stab in the dark. SRFM, common stock offering or direct. Bingo. Been around the block long enough, right? So Surf Air Mobility announces a 27 million registered direct, and that's at 250 a share. So see ya. I do not want to be a. Listen, it's not surprising. We see this all the time on these small cap stocks. I was just talking about it to begin the meeting. So a lot of these like small cap, low float stocks will have to do some sort of senior convertible note thing, or otherwise, more often than not, a direct or common stock offering. So first-hand look. SMR is down. It's at the low of the day here. So I could technically put this on our list, maybe as just a short, or this is a very healthy daily chart. So if you're looking for a swing bounce, then buy the dip, right? But otherwise, this has actually been showing a lot of red candles. So definitely want to see this wick back up today if you're looking for a better swing bounce. Otherwise, this might be more prone to pull back a little bit more here. All right, but hey, we'll put this on our watch list right now. We got Tesla dropping. That's been at the low of the day since the early morning. Tanked right away. If you want me to put this on our list, I can, just on the way down. But I want to focus on stocks that are a little bit more within our price range, at least. So if anything, at least on the way up or more within our price range, you let me know, folks. For Steve, Larry, you got Michael, Kathleen, Leda, all of us just here inside our live trading room. Anything that I missed, you let me know. Anyone on social media as well, on YouTube as well. Let me just jump right ahead here. So just catch up the chat. I'm going from top to bottom here, folks. So I got to scroll up, here from the top. So yeah, for any of our new students, just I know that I've been messaging a couple of us on the side. Always feel free to just send the trading questions directly to me on the side, the private chat message. If you went through phase one, lesson number one, and from our introductory call, you should know, like, whenever I type, you should just see my thumbnail. You should get my picture there, and then the three little dots to the right of my thumbnail. Click that to private chat me. So if you got trading questions, feel more than free to send it to me just on the side. It'll be even easier for me to answer those questions there too. But otherwise, yeah, no, here's the thing though. If you're, a longtime student like Mario's been with us for like, what, 5, 6 years, Mario, and one of our great traders in our room. So if you are someone who makes like money and you're consistently profitable and you're a longtime student and you're a contributing member in our room, I'd love for you to, give, advice and help others out. I mean, that's great. You don't need to ever, but if you ever want to, it's welcome with open arms. I want to let you know that. But this is where we say, though, because Jim raises a great point, though, on the flip side of it. Jim in our chat room right now, one of our also longtime members, longtime students, diamond students too, much like Mario. But, it's just to say, if you're a new student here, transparently enough, you don't know anyone here, right? You don't know who's making money, actually. You don't know if someone else just joined last week with you and they don't know their left from their right. And truth be told, to be transparent, I have to gain your trust. I'm talking about me, Josh Levitan, because, hey, you bought into Cyber Trading University because of Fausto Pugliese. So you're not fully sold even on myself. So, I got to provide that type of instruction and advice myself to you. And, hopefully you gain my trust there. And or I gain your trust. Is that it? I gain your trust. I gain your, whatever it is, hopefully you understand why we're doing what we're doing in our room. But hey, we got great traders here like Jim, like Leda, Kathleen, Mario got there, and a number of us I could list. But if you are someone that has been with us for a while, I'd love for you to help others out. That's great. But if you're brand new, then hey, let that kind of go to me and Fausto more than anyone. All right, folks. But hey, folks, anything else there before we wrap? Appreciate that though from Jim and Mario there in our chat room. Absolutely. Okay, although yeah, going with the SMR. So I should have just slapped that on there too, right? Nuclear, I guess, down today for whatever reason. So was Iron down too? Iron's not down. So we're talking about Iron being a nuclear play. But I guess SMR and OKLO both down today. I'll put both of them on our list. Good shout. What else we got here, folks? Last call. Anything else here before we finish up? Check out Benzinga Pro here before we finish. It's like 1,000 degrees in my home office right now. I don't got to turn the AC on here. All right, what do we got here? Let's see. ONEG, RITR, kind of garbage. I could just tell right away. Not a lot of these I'm too familiar with. If I'm not familiar with them, more often than not, they're kind of garbage. Watch, I'll show you. ONEG, RITR. I guess this one had a little pop, but I could tell this is pretty illiquid. This one doesn't really have much volume out there on the order book. It's just garbage. So I'll tell you what, I like what we got to work with here heading into the afternoon, folks. So add NNE2 for nukes. The spread's the issue on this one more than anything. The order book's just more thin. If you want to trade it, go ahead. I'll root you on. But otherwise, we know that the SMR and the OKLO just trade more volume. They trade a lot more volume. That's our big talking point here, right? Like the volume total. Of course, this will be a little bit thin because of the price. But otherwise, the SMR is your better play even. But number one focus, this goes to everyone. Number one, just always focus on liquidity first and foremost. But otherwise there, folks, hey, best of luck trading going into the close. I'll be back on in just about 10 or so minutes. If you're joining us on YouTube, catch my breath there, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., just joining us at Cyber Trading U, just always hit the follow, the subscribe button right down below, right there. You see it right down there, right there. You got it. I'm teasing, of course. At Cyber Trading U, though, just be a friend, tell a friend, look to hit the follow or subscribe button. But otherwise, we will be back on tomorrow for Thursday. We got an open house webinar tomorrow as well. So if you are on YouTube, if you're new to our stream, new to our platform, actually every Thursday we do a live open house webinar led by Fausto, led by the man himself, 35+ year pro. So yet another reason to not only hit that follow or subscribe, but actually a little notification bell or icon too, so you know when we're going live for tomorrow afternoon. But best of luck trading either way. We'll be back on Inside